Advanced Micro Devices stock, ticker symbol AMD. This stock is down 35% year to date, so that's quite a lot, because the S&P 500 is down only 14% year to date. But yesterday AMD presented quarterly results where they beat both EPS and revenue, but the stock went down another 3% as of recording this video. So what happened, and does this mean that AMD stock is a buy right now? In this video I'm going to show you real quickly the earnings report, what AMD does, a view at the historical returns, the fundamental analysis, their major competitors, and in the last part I'm giving you my price target to see if they are a buy or not. And I think you definitely want to see this part, so make sure to watch until the end. And also I'm very excited to see what you guys think about this stock, so please let me know your thoughts in the comments. My name is Thomas and this is Thomas Invest. I'm an investor looking for great stocks at great prices. So what does AMD do? Advanced Micro Devices designs microprocessors for the computer and consumer electronics industries. The majority of the firm's sales are up in the personal computer and data center markets via CPUs and GPUs. Let's dive in the earnings just real quickly to see what happened. Revenue is up 70% year over year and gross profit is up 65% year over year. So this looks really good to me. Gross margin is down from 48% to 46%. Not happy about it, but it doesn't seem terrible in my opinion. Operating expenses is up 151%, which is a lot, and operating income is down 37%. And here is where the problems start to occur. Operating margin is down from 22% last year to 8% this year. So this is something that worries me a lot. EPS is also down 53%, which is quite logical. When we check why it's lower, then we see that it's primarily due to the amortization of intangible assets associated with the Xilinx acquisition. So okay, the numbers aren't that good, but I think this is a fair reason. The next thing that I really like is the fact that AMD repurchased $920 million of common stock, while they were issuing a lot of shares in the most recent quarters. I will show you this later in the video why this is a good thing. The last part that I want to highlight is the outlook. For the third quarter, AMD expects revenue to be approximately $7.7 billion, an increase of 55% year over year, led by growth in the data center and embedded segments. Gross margin will be around 54%, which is significantly higher than the current gross margin. So this means they expect margins to increase again. For the full year, AMD expects to do $26.3 billion in revenue and a gross margin of 54% again. So overall, yes, the short term might be a bit disappointing with the big decrease in margin, but they seem very explained and I'm not that worried about it, to be honest. Especially since they expect to increase margins again in the coming quarter, and as they said in the outlook. So hopefully the stock goes down even more and you might enter at lower prices. Let's check the historical returns to see what happened there. I decided to include the S&P 500 as a benchmark. Intel, Nvidia and Texas Instruments as their major competitors. On the 5-year chart we see that AMD returned a 642%, which is insane. The S&P 500 returned only 65%, Intel a minus 1.7%, while Nvidia also did a massive return of 350%. Texas Instruments is at 117%, which is also quite high. On the 1-year chart everything changes. AMD returns a minus 8.6%, the S&P 500 minus 6.75%, Intel a minus 32%, which is a lot of course, Nvidia is at minus 6% and Texas Instruments is at minus 7%, so this doesn't look really good. On the 6-month chart we see that AMD returned a minus 19%, while the S&P 500 did only a minus 10%. Intel is still bleeding with a minus 27%. Nvidia also very bad with minus 26% and Texas Instruments is at only minus 5%. On the 1-month chart we finally see some positive returns, with AMD sitting at almost 35%. The S&P 500 is at almost 7% and Intel is nearly flat, which of course went down a lot after the earnings. Nvidia is at 27% and Texas Instruments is doing quite nice with a 19% return. So does this mean that AMD stock is a buy? Let's find out by checking the fundamentals of this company. But first, if you made it this far in the video, I want to thank you a lot for watching this video. I also want to mention that I'm almost at 1000 subscribers, so please help me achieving this huge milestone by giving me a subscribe. In return, you'll receive similar analysis to this one every week. Let's continue by diving into the fundamentals. AMD is a 135 billion market cap company with a PE ratio of 39, which could indicate that you pay a premium for this stock. Later in this video I will give you my 3 price targets, so make sure to watch until the end. Next up is revenue. 12 trailing month revenue is at 18.8 billion, and in this graph we see that it went up and down quite a bit in the past. But ever since 2020 it took a big jump, and this is also because of the demand in chips, so please keep this in mind. The net income is at 3.39 billion, which gives us a profit margin of 18%. And I really like this number because it's significantly higher than the 5-year average of 14.4%. But keep in mind that in the latest quarterly results we just checked, it dropped down to 8%, so you might want to pay attention to this number, since I prefer companies with a profit margin of at least 10%, especially when it's a tech company. Return on assets is at only 4.2%, so this doesn't look that good. But return on equity is at 17.6%, and this looks good to me. Return on invested capital, the most important number here, is at 15.6%, which is really great since it's above the 10% minimum. On top of that, it's higher than the 5-year average, which is something I really like. So they do a great job of investing their money in the business. Next up is the balance sheet, and this looks really great. Total cash is at 6.5 billion and total debt is at only 2 billion, meaning they can easily pay off all the debt by just a third of the total cash. So definitely like this part of the business. But you want free cash flow to be growing, since this is used to pay down debt of course, but also to buy back shares, do acquisitions, research and development, and pay dividends, which AMD doesn't do right now. In this graph we see that free cash flow really took a jump in the past couple of quarters. So it went from a negative for a long time to be a positive number. So I really like the fact that it's positive right now, and in a way it's kinda consistent, except for the last year of course. But okay, we need more data on this one, so let's give it more time, and for now I really like it. A really interesting thing in the investor presentation is the fact that they started to buy back shares. In this graph we see that they issued a lot of new shares back in the days to raise capital and grow the business in the end. And I don't blame them. The stock was overvalued and they used the cash to do acquisitions, for instance. Now that the company might enter the more fair valuation, you want them to start buying back shares. PE ratio is still high at almost 40, so for me it was also okay if they waited a bit longer. So the PE ratio can go down a bit more and they don't bought back overvalued shares. But okay, nevertheless, I do like the fact that they start buying back shares. The last part of this video will be about the 3 price targets that I created using the Everything Money software, which is one of the best tools out there, so please check them out. So, I created a low, mid and high assumption based on what we analyzed. We have to fill in a few key numbers here, starting off with the revenue growth. On the left we have our 1-year, 5-year and 10-year average, and we see that revenue took a big jump of course in the last couple of quarters. So I'm not sure if they are able to grow in the same numbers. But I think they will do double digit at least. So I'm filling in 12% for the low assumption, 16% for the mid assumption and 20% for the high assumption. Profit margin took a hit this quarter, but they expect to recover. So for the low assumption I'm filling in 10%, which is slightly above the current drop profit margin from past quarter. For the mid assumption I'm aiming for the 5-year average, so I'm filling in 15%. And for the high assumption I expect things to be better and filling in 20%. It's the same story with the free cash flow margin. PE ratio is at 40 right now, which is really high. But I think that for a company like AMD, you want to pay a 19, 20 or 21 PE ratio in these assumptions. There's still a lot of potential and they showed us that they can invest their capital very well. It's the same story for the price to free cash flow. My desired annual return will be 12.5%, since I can get an easy 10% annual return with owning an ETF. Right now AMD stock is at $97 a share as of recording this video. I hit analyze and we see some green numbers here, but also a big range. We have a low price target of $37, a mid price target of $78 and a high price target of $146. I think AMD will be in a range of mid to high price target, meaning $78 to $146. And since this is a big range, I think I will narrow it down to $95 to $130 a share. My final conclusion on AMD is that they might be undervalued if you believe these numbers. There are of course a few things to keep in mind, such as the demand for chips, which boosted this company a lot. So when the demand will slow down, the business will slow down as well. But it seems that AMD really knows how to invest their money with a high return on total capital and also doing a lot of acquisitions, which is something I really like. For now, I will add them to my watch list since I want the stock price to come down just a little bit more to give me a higher margin of safety. And remember to always do your own research and never fully trust on what I or other YouTubers say about a stock. I'm not a financial advisor and this content is just for entertaining purposes only. I hope you liked this video and I did bring some insights of the company to you. I would really appreciate a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to get notified when I'm posting a new video. Thanks for watching and I will see you in my next video.